Okay, so we're going to do some We're going to do the twisted rim bowl tutorial today. This is a piece of walnut. I'm not sure how long it's been drying. It's one that a friend of mine gave me. He gave me the whole tree, but this particular tree had been down in their yard for like 4 years. I know all the sapwood on it was rotted away, and it was a little damp way down inside, but for the most part it's pretty stable, so I wasn't too afraid of turning something like this out of it. I ended up with a wall thickness of about 1/4 of an inch, but I'm not going to explain all of what I'm doing here. I've got it on a screw chuck. There's enough videos on YouTube on how to turn a bowl that I don't feel I need to explain it. There's like I said, there's a whole bunch of them out there, and every one of them's pretty good. So go see some of the greats out there. Mine is here to show you how to do the layout for the twist and how to do the basic carving parts of it. And then I got a little surprise for you at the end. I did something kind of fancy with this bowl, and I was real happy with how it turned out. I still have to put the polyurethane finish on it, because that's how I'm going to finish this one. But I wanted to at least give you an idea that I actually started from scratch here. So, the first thing you have to understand with a twisted rim is that you're going to have to leave your rim fairly beefy. If you get it too thin, then when you go to put your lines on there and stuff, they're going to be real close together and really small chords, if you will. Dad actually nicknamed this one the grapevine bowl because I did a longer cycle on the twists, so they seem to be like they're a lot longer down the rim of the bowl compared to the last one I did on here. So anyway, we're going to get the rim on it nice and thick, and then we'll start the layout process here. So we're going to give that a minute. All right. Oh, and the hat you see popping in on the other side there now and then is my dad coming over to look, see how I'm doing. He's 75 years old, 76 years old now, and pretty much all he does is get up in the mornings and go out and turn. It must be nice being retired. Someday I'll get there, but for now I'll have to keep doing my regular 40. By the way, my regular 40 is I frame art. I'm a professional framer, so, which actually is a hint towards the surprise at the end here. Alright, so I've got that rim nice and thick, and just kind of giving it some, doing some final touches on the inside there, and a little bit of forming. I like to try and get the rim to stick over the outside and over the inside the same amount. I think it looks nicer when it's balanced that way. So now I'm coming in with that's a Sorby RS200 scraper, well, hollowing tool, and then hitting it with the corner of the parting tool, using it as a shear scraper. So now I've got the bead nice and rounded off. I think now is when I put the scraper tip on. No, still on the bowl gouge. I must have got picky on this one. I don't have a good set of calipers for checking the wall thickness, so I oftentimes just use my hands like that. And oh, here's where I switch over to this RS200. Anybody who has used one of these probably will agree this is one of the best investments I've made. And they're not exactly cheap, but boy, they do a good job if you got them nice and sharp. Alright, now we're going to start the layout. So I put my big rest in, I use it to check where center was. That's why the corner of the rest went in there. And now I've got it exactly parallel across the center. And I'm indexing around the 12 holes in this particular indexing system. And that gives me marks directly across from each other. Extend those marks down the rim to the edge of the bowl. And then the same thing on the inside. Extend them over. Now I'm going to mark rings around the outside of it. Drop a paint. Oops. Okay. Marking rings going around the perimeter. And now that gives me these boxes, as you can see there. Okay, those boxes are going to indicate what my spiral is going to be. This is why this is a long spiral, because I use long boxes. If you use shorter boxes, you'll get a tighter spiral. And I switched to a black marker because it was showing up better on the walnut. But you draw from corner to corner, and then just keep filling all the boxes in with those diagonal lines, and they should end up forming a twist from the outside to the inside, or vice versa, however you want to think of it. There I'm getting the inside boxes. So with 3 lines going around it, that gives me 4 sections going around it from the outside to the inside, which means 4 lines on each one of them. This one turned out pretty nice. The layout turned out pretty nice. Now I'm going to get my Dremel out, and I'm going to start cutting all those lines in. We'll get a visit from the Shop Cat there. Its name is Kit Cat, but we'll call it the Shop Cat because it's where it's always at. So I start doing my relief cuts using the little saw blade, Dremel cutter, whatever you want to call it. The lines, it burns a little bit. You'll see it smoke now and then, a bit back there, and you'll see it, like I said, you'll see it smoke. It puts a little black soot down in there. That's not a big deal because I'm going to come back through with a file and start cutting them open, and I file all the way down until that's gone. These relief cuts are more or less a guide to put the edge of the file into, just to follow. You could do the same thing with a saw. With a handsaw, it's just kind of hard to do on the inside like I'm doing there. The handsaw doesn't reach back into places like that, so that's where the little saw blade on the Dremel comes in real handy. You could also use a barrel burr that has a flat end, and that's actually how I ended up V'ing the insides of this, because the file won't reach around on the inside either. It's too long. I had some short files that would do it, but they have pretty fine teeth. It would have taken a while. So I ended up using the big file, and then using the Dremel, and I hold it up to the screen briefly, but there's the big file. Let's start on the outside, and I'm just using the corner of it. I'm not actually using the flats. The flats are of course touching the wood on the sides, but I'm using the corner of it to follow that line that I cut with the Dremel. And that opens them up, so then I can come back in. You round off that corner that it leaves on either side of the V, and pretty soon, once you've rounded it enough times, it ends up being round, of all things. So we'll let you watch this for a minute, and then I'll come back a little closer to the end. So I'm finishing up with the little barrel burr with the, it's just a standard burr that comes with a lot of the Dremel sets. Finishing up with that, and then I'm going to switch over to sandpaper, and I'll start sanding all those little lines. This is just a folded over piece of 120 off of a, well, it's made for a orbital sander. I go through a lot of those. And then after this, I'll switch to a emery cloth. It was a 120 emery cloth, and I start sanding with that. There is a lot of sanding in these types of things. In actuality, I let you see several minutes of this, and then I just decided, you know, it's kind of like watching paint dry, watching me sand. So I turned the camera off for a couple of hours and just did all the sanding. All the lines and all of the surfaces inside and outside of the bowl, and got it to the point where it was ready for finish. I'll show it to you briefly there at the end of this, and then come back in and put my surprise into it for you, and actually got the oil finish on it as well. So this thing really pops when because this is a Missouri black walnut tree, and Missouri black walnut is one of the darkest walnuts that I've got to work with. Although this tree did grow in Kansas, but they call it Missouri black walnut around here, so I'll stick with that name. So this is all the more of the sanding I want to show you. We're going to switch over here. This is what it looked like when I got it all sanded. I cut a couple of V-grooves around the outside edge just to kind of give it some character. There they are. And I had another reason for that, but we'll get to that in a second. And then, boom. Surprise. There it is, all finished. And there is the surprise. I put a gold metal flake gilding around it in that band between those grooves. Being a picture framer, that's one of the things that I from time to time do, so voila. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope it was informative for you. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm starting to enjoy this, so it's like I kind of talk to all my customers about my YouTube channel now. It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good night. Bye.